is about the survival strategy of giving your center away and being adaptive. And I want to talk about it because first, I think there's a misconception about what is the true purpose of giving your center away. And the other part I want to talk about is how, as a space holder for regenerative culture, for culture centered on adulthood and higher levels of responsibility, how do you handle when people come to your game world and come to you and want to be adaptive to you and your game world? And there's a part that they want to learn how to do it differently, how to live differently, how to be initiated. And at the same time, the way that they engage with you is by playing child, by giving their center away to you. So I want to look at both of these elements and kind of the ramification that they have in creating next culture, in creating regenerative culture. The first part is about checking out what is the real purpose of giving your center away. And on a superficial level, giving your center away can look like it's about you being safe, because it's about you giving away what you want, what is important for you, what you're feeling, what you're thinking. You're giving all of that away to somebody else, saying, you get to decide for me. You get to feel for me. You get to tell me what's important. You get to tell me how I should live my life as an individual. Like, that's what it means to give your center away. It's profound. Is you giving your life force, your life energy, the honor of having a human life to somebody else who, if, for example, it's somebody who accepts your center, has probably questionable purposes, that they basically want to use you for whatever, as a workforce, or as somebody who's going to give them love or attention, or somebody who will praise them, or somebody who, it's like, finally I get to have some followers so that I'm important. Like, that would be the kind of people who would want to take other people's center. And I want to say, it's like, there's nothing, it's not bad to give your center away, but it does have profound consequences. And I think one of the things that is important to point out is that basically modern culture is a culture that is designed, it is sustained by people giving their center away. Like, that is how there are corporations. That is how there are sweatshops. That's how there's nation states. That's how people say, oh, somebody else can talk for me and represent me in a democracy. And so there's a system of reward in modern culture, is when you give your center away, you will get the promise of modern culture. Or at least you will get lured into, the more you give your center away, the more chances you get to have more money, or have a partner, or have safety and health insurance and a state that's going to take care of you. So it's so deeply ingrained in us through these incentive of reward to give your center away. And in the superficial idea is, oh, okay, I'm sacrificing my life force, but at least I will be safe. And for me, that's actually only the superficial purpose. There's another purpose, which is, it's about being at war with the person or the thing that you're giving your center away to. Like, for whatever reason you might have so many justification of, I'm giving my center away to because otherwise I might be exiled, I might be judged, I might be criticized, I might be killed, people might not understand me, I might lose all my friends. It's like, okay, whatever justification you think is valid, again, these are only actually superficial. And what you're looking for underneath is being at war. And I'll explain a little bit, and then you may want to share your experiences in the comments or write to me. But it's this idea of, if you give your center away to somebody who accepts your center, then you're basically being a puppet with somebody moving you into your life. And therefore there would be good, it would make sense for you that you would hate this person who's trying to control you and manipulate you and use you for for their own purposes. But remember, you were the one who originally gave your center away, so you said yes to this bargain, so that eventually you could come to a point where you resent them and you hate them for controlling you. And the other way is if you give your center away to somebody who refuses your center and still connects with you. So that means they will not try to fit into your expectation of you have, like, I'm giving you my center, and then in exchange you have to keep me safe. You have to protect me. You have to take care of me. You have to act in a way that my survival strategy can continue, like that my survival strategy of giving my center away can continue. And if somebody refuses to do that, then they're putting at risk your own survival. That's what it looks like. It is putting at risk all the ways that you have learned to be rewarded for being small and weak and undecisive and hesitant and scared. And there would be a part of you that might also want to resent them for not playing along with your survival game. And this is, I think we're getting more closer to the true purpose that is behind somebody giving their center away, is that it's a survival game, and therefore it's a gremlin game, and therefore it's a war game. You want to be in conflict. You want to be in this victim position of somebody did something to me. That's giving your center away. Somebody is responsible for me. So somebody did something to me. And if they hurt me, you get this license to attack them back. So that's I think this is closer to the bottom, to the true purpose of somebody giving their center away. And it's not just, oh, I'm doing this so that I can be safe. So something to consider. But for me, considering like this true purpose, for me, it's sort of this conversation of, as game world builders for regenerative culture, for community archaeology invention centers, but also training programs, what I'm interested in is to be around people who have their own authority, therefore, which starts with having their center. And I have a sense, I understand that I cannot just say, oh, give people this distinction and immediately they will be centered. It takes work for somebody to reclaim their center to a degree that they can be present with me or with a team or with other people, around other people who have their authority and therefore can be easily projected as authority figure. But that's two very different things of, I have my authority and I'm not an authority figure, but somebody can project authority onto me. And then how do I handle that as a space holder? Well, first is about bringing that distinction, and is to live in a culture of practice where when somebody is not centered, I, to some degree or another, refuse to interact with the part of them that's giving me their center. And that we build a culture with each other where we notice, hey, right now you're not centered, so therefore you're not able to actually listen to what's being said or what's being shared or the kind of decisions that we want to make with each other. At the same time, there is this transition period of, I think, what it seems to me, a couple years, if somebody is really serious in taking their center back and living in the experience of having their own authority, which requires initiation and requires emotional healing processes, and it requires practice and also study of how can a human being work, experience love, connect in a team in which people are actually are responsible for their own thinking, feelings, their value, and let's say their proposal, the way they're negotiating intimacy with other people. So in that transition period, there will be a moment where people will like reflexively and because of survival give their center away to you. And it's part of your job as a space holder to not be, for me, it's like to not be snapped in believing the victim stories that they cannot think for themselves, or that they cannot feel for themselves, or that they cannot decide what their path is, or that they're so wounded that in a way, something like this. It's like I refuse. It's like I will not engage with this idea of somebody is so wounded that I have to question or make my being smaller, or my stand smaller, or my clarity smaller, so that they don't give their center away to me. And I think that's been really my learning path of living in the absolute clarity that if somebody gives their center away to me, or to a project, or to even the distinction, let's say, of possibility management, of archiaki, it is because they want to, in the end, have war with me. And I'm not saying this as, therefore I will not talk to them, or therefore I will reject them, because otherwise I reject everybody. But it's nothing that I'm doing that is making them give their center away. They are choosing to give their center away. And so my job is for me to in a way be really clear about what I want, and saying, hey, I don't want to talk with you. I don't want to negotiate with you when you're not centered. So whatever is the trigger right now for why you're giving your center away, please handle that before we can actually be in collaboration with each other. And sometimes, and that's why it's so important, I think, to have a team, is there's a part of my being, also my personality, the way I hold space, that tends to trigger people into giving their center away more than others. And so what I would say is, go work with somebody else. Go work with somebody in which you don't have this such necessity, this survival necessity to have war with them. And then when you've done some work, I'm available to collaborate again with you. I'm saying this because I feel afraid and I feel angry that because of a certain, I've just heard a little bit of like this dialogue or this narrative of, because people are wounded, then we should make our stand not as threatening or not as radical. And for me, it's like, no way. No way I'm going to let other people's woundedness or other people's survival strategy impact the vision that I have, impact the way, how big or clear or unyielding I want to be about certain part of a culture that I want to develop, that I want to research. And my invitation, so at the same time, my invitation is to create a clear path for those who want to get their authority back. And that's also because that's part of the culture that I'm interested in developing. Like, who are we? Like, what kind of team can be created when people have their authority? So I have, on one side, my vision and my clarity and my stand can stay as clear and sharp and radical as I want it to be, because in parallel, I'm developing and training other people in how do you keep your center and what's in the way of keeping your center, including this video. So somehow it seemed a little bit of rambling on my side. I hope that some of it was, however, useful, both if you're a person who gives their center away, especially to your loved ones that will end up in war and resentment. Even if it doesn't show up now, it will maybe show up in a few years or even a few months, especially if you start reclaiming your rage and you start reclaiming the power of your gremlin. Like those things tend to unleash the unspoken resentment under the under the superficiality of being a nice person, a good person, an adaptive person. And also, I hope that some of those distinctions give you some power to navigate, like as a space holder for training, as a space holder for community projects and team, that you do not have to compromise your stand to adapt. Again, that would be adapting, to adapt to people who are adaptive to you. And instead is playful out and offer a path in which those people can heal and can come and playful out next to you.